The definition of driver. One employed. I'd usually stop right there. However, one employed in conducting or operating a coach, carriage, wagon, or other vehicle with horses, mules, or other animals, or a bicycle, tricycle, or motor car, though not a street railroad car. A person actually doing driving, whether employed by owner to drive or driving his own vehicle. The definition of traveler. One who passes from place to place, whether for pleasure, instruction, business, or health. The definition of driving. To urge forward under guidance, compelled to go in a particular direction, urge onward and direct the course of. The definition of travel. To go from one place to another at a distance, to journey, spoken of voluntary change of place. The definition of motor vehicle from the United States Code of Law. The term motor vehicle means every description of a carriage or other contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highways in the transportation of passengers and property or cargo. The definition of automobile from the United States Codes of Law. Automobile means a four-wheeled vehicle that is propelled by fuel or by alternate fuel, manufactured primarily for use on public streets, roads, and highways, and rated at less than 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight, except A, a vehicle operated only on a rail line, B, a vehicle manufactured in different stages by two or more manufacturers, if no intermediate or final stage manufacturer of that vehicle manufactures more than 10,000 multi-stage vehicles per year, or C, a work truck. United States Codes of Law. Definition of driver license. Driver license means a license issued by a state to an individual authorizing the individual to operate a motor vehicle on highways. In California, this is the California Vehicle Code 12,500A, that if you do not have a driver license when getting pulled over by the police department, that they will issue you a ticket and or take you to jail over. And it states a person may not drive a motor vehicle upon a highway unless the person then holds a valid driver's license issued under this code, except those persons who are expressly exempted under this code. The definition of motor vehicle from the California Vehicle Code 260A and B. A commercial vehicle is a motor vehicle of a type required to be registered under this code, used or maintained for the transportation of persons for hire, compensation, or profit, or designed, used, or maintained primarily for the transportation of property. B, passenger vehicles and house cars that are not used for the transportation of persons for hire, compensation, or profit are not commercial vehicles. United States Code of Law. The definition of employee. An employee means an operator of a commercial vehicle, including an independent contractor when operating a commercial motor vehicle, who is employed by an employer. United States Republic Supreme Court case law. Thompson v. Smith. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport one's property thereon, either by carriage or automobile, is not a mere privilege, which a city may prohibit or permit at will, but a common right which he or she has under the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. State versus Armstead. The right to travel, the right to mode of conveyance, the right to locomotion are all absolute rights, and the police cannot make void the exercise of rights. Miller versus Kansas. The claim and exercise of a constitutional right cannot be converted into a crime. Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. No state shall convert a liberty into a privilege, license it, and attach a fee to it. Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham. If the state converts a liberty into a privilege, the citizen can engage in the right with impunity. The definition of inalienable. This word is applied to those things, the property of which cannot be lawfully transferred from one person to another. Public highways and rivers are of this kind. There are also many rights which are inalienable, as the rights of liberty or of speech. The definition of unalienable. The state of a thing or right which cannot be sold. Things which are not in commerce, as public roads, are in their nature unalienable. Some things are unalienable in consequence of particular provisions in the law forbidding their sale or transfer, as pensions granted by the government. The natural rights of life and liberty are unalienable. The definition of highway. An easement acquired by the public in the use of a road or way for thoroughfare. A free and public roadway or street, one which every person has the right to use. Its prime essentials are the right of common enjoyment on the one hand and the duty of public maintenance on the other hand. In the definition of highway, it states an easement. So this is the definition of private or public easement. A private easement is one in which the enjoyment is restricted to one or a few individuals, while a public easement is one the right to the enjoyment of which is vested in the public generally or in an entire community, such as an easement of passage on the public streets and highways or of navigation on a stream. The definition of public passage. A right, subsisting in the public, to pass over a body of water, whether the land under it be public or owned by a private person. This term is synonymous with public highway. With this difference, by the latter is understood a right to pass over the land of another. By the former is meant the right of going over the water which is on another's land. The definition of public road. A highway, a road, or way established and adopted or accepted as a dedication by the proper authorities for the use of the general public, and over which every person has a right to pass and to use it for all purposes of travel or transportation to which it is adapted and devoted. The definition of road. A highway, an open way or public passage, a line of travel or communication extending from one town or place to another. A strip of land appropriated and used for purposes of travel and communication between different places. The definition of highwayman. A bandit, one who robs travelers upon the highway. The definition of highway robbery: the crime of a robbery committed upon or near a public highway. The felonious or forcible taking of property from the person of another on a highway. U.S. versus Minker. Because of what appears to be a lawful command on the surface, many citizens, because of their respect for what only appears to be a law, are cunningly coerced into waiving their rights due to ignorance. Title 18, United States Code of Law, Section 141, Conspiracy against Rights. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise on the highway, or on the premises of another, with the intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. California versus Farley. Speeding, driving without a license, wrong plates or no plates, no registration, no tags, etc., have been held to be non-arrestable offenses. Michigan versus Duke. State police power extends only to immediate threats to public safety, health, welfare, etc., which driving and speeding are not. Kent versus Dulles. The right to park or travel is part of a liberty of which the natural person, citizen, cannot be deprived without due process of law under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.